Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Agenda Setting Work Session for Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. It is 8:05 a.m. No, it is 9:05 a.m. Clock hasn't sprung forward yet. And we are here to review the proposed agenda for March 18th board meeting. Written public comment may be received up to 2 hours in advance of the meeting and will be distributed to the board. Action may be taken at this meeting. Public virtual attendance available on the Thurston County YouTube channel. So pulling out the proposed agenda for March 18th, we will call that meeting to order 2 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Mejia will lead, then acknowledgement, approval of agenda, and then proclamation for Women's History Month.
For the, good morning, Commissioners. Amy Davis, Clerk of the Board. For this month's proclamation presentation for Women's History Month, we will be joined by a local choir, the local Sweet Adelines group. They will be coming and singing for us in the atrium, and we'll have representatives of a few other organizations like League of Women Voters. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to that one.
Sweet. Questions?
No, but I'm sad because I will be remote, and so I'll miss it, but I'm excited for you guys to get to see it.
Make a video for you. All right, cool.
It's like a barbershop quartet, though, like.
Sweet Adelines, yep.
Do they wear the hats?
That I don't know.
I've never seen that group. Okay, great. All right, public comment and county manager's update. Anything you're preparing to at this time, Chair? Okay. We have consent agenda items A through HH. Item A, resolution adjusting threshold value for software assets. Auditor's office.
Morning, Auditor Hall. Good morning. Good to have you here today.
Darren's gonna talk to us about this.
Yeah, I don't know how much you really want to get into it because it's mainly just an accounting type of a transaction, but it was a request from our state auditors. They wrote an exit comment on the county last year to reduce our capitalization threshold for software licenses that we purchase, and it has to do with a newer GASB statement, Governmental Accounting Standards Board. They come out with new statements every once in a while, and this was GASB number 96, and it has to do with the capitalization of software purchases. For example, Oracle is a one that is applicable to this statement. And prior to us moving this capitalization threshold down, our threshold was $1 million, and the state auditor's office looked at that. They said, yeah, that's too high. That's what the state of Washington's capitalization threshold is for software leases, and we suggested you lower it. They didn't give us a certain dollar amount, but they suggested that we lowered it. So I did some research on comparable counties and came up with $200,000 and ran it by our FMC, our Financial Management Committee. And it was approved by our Financial Management Committee. So we're bringing it here to the board today because it involves a policy change, which must be approved here by the board. So it's kind of a little bit of background as to what's going on with this one.
We had a pretty good discussion about this last time you brought it up.
Yeah.
Questions for Jen? Commissioners up there? Nope. Good on that one?
Okay, cool.
Makes sense. Next up is a item to set public hearing to change precinct boundaries.
Sure, so we were here a couple weeks ago, gave you our presentation. Every year, we're required to adjust our precinct boundaries due to several factors, city annexations, and then we also have a threshold in statute where if the precincts get above 1,500, we have to basically split them. So that's what this is all about. We do want to make the public available, we want to inform the public, make the information available to them on our website in case they have any questions. So it's really a formality. So we're asking that you set a public hearing for Tuesday, April 15th at 3:30, when we will come and basically do the same presentation so the public can watch that. And if they have any feedback, they will do that online. And then if not, we'll ask for your approval. Precincts have to be completed before it's a week or 2 weeks before the first day candidates file for office.
Questions on the precinct boundary public hearing? Nope, good to go. Thank you, Alderman Hall.
Great rest of the day.
All right. Item C, Central Services Parks and Recreation Lease Agreement, Amendment 4, Building Owner Transfer.
Good morning, Bruce Rober, Interim Central Services Director. This agenda item is to update a lease agreement with the tenant in the new Sheriff's Office building at 1111 Israel Road. In the purchase agreement completed on the 31st of January this year, Thurston County assumed 2 leases that expire this year. As part of the purchase agreement, an estoppel certificate was completed, so the county has already assumed the lease, and this is to update, to actually amend the lease. This tenant is Washington State Parks. The monthly rent is $122,960, and the lease is month to month, with a planned move-out date of the end of June. Total potential revenue from this lease is $614,802. The revenues will be in the first budget amendment of 2025 for the board's consideration. Are there any questions?
Seeing none? Go.
All right.
Next item, Central Services as well, Environmental and Land Use Hearings Office Lease Agreement, Amendment number 1.
Okay, this tenant is the Washington, as you said, Aluho. The monthly rent is $11,777, and the lease is through September 30th. Total potential revenue from this lease is $94,216. The revenues will be in the first budget amendment of 2025 for your consideration.
Questions on item D? No. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Item E, Associate Development Organization Designation, or ADO designation.
Good morning, Jenica Machado, Economic Development Manager. So Washington State Department of Commerce is directed by RCW to contract with county designated associate development organizations, or ADOs, to increase the support for and coordination of community and economic development services in the regional area. Every 2 years, Commerce contracts with the ADOs and has requested that Thurston County complete the ADO certification designation form for the 2025-2027 biennium. The Thurston Economic Development Council, or EDC, currently serves as our ADO, and staff recommends their designation. The attached form recertifies the Thurston Economic Development Council as Thurston County's ADO. The Thurston EDC has been designated the ADO for Thurston County since the ADO program began, and the designation form is due to Commerce by April 15th. Are there any questions?
No questions. Straightforward, thank you. Item F, Community Planning Income Development Interagency Agreement between Washington State University and Thurston County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ashley Arai, Community Planning and Economic Development Director. This is our interagency agreement with Washington State University, Thurston County Extension Office. It is our annual agreement. We update the scope of work based on both the county's needs and the programmatic needs of WSU.
Questions for Ashley on WSU agency agreement? Is this a similar amount to the?
It increased very, very little, 13,000 since last year, and that comes out of the surface and stormwater funds, not general funds. An e-brief was sent on February 7th.
Okay, any other questions for Ashley? No, good. Item G, CPED as well, Resolution for Countywide Planning Policies Update.
Yeah, this is an update to our countywide planning policies. A number of actions have been taken recently by the board, including a public hearing on January 21st, along with a follow-up briefing. At the January 21st hearing and follow-up briefing, there was a request from the board to separate out the different updates to the countywide planning policies and just move forward with the tribal coordination ones, which have been under review by TRPC and the county for 2 years at this point.
Questions, Commissioner Klaus?
Yeah, thank you, Ashley, and I appreciate the additional information that you passed along after our last conversation. I recall our last conversation ending with, the conclusion that we would be having a work session or briefing as a board on this item prior to the approval. Do we know, is that going to happen before the 18th?
Yeah, you requested information, but the board never gave direction to have a work session. So
So
that
actually,
information was sent
yeah.
over to you.
I went back and watched the video and it did conclude with the, request for a work session.
We can go ahead and take a look. Then that would have been our miss. We didn't track that the board was asking for the work session, but that you had questions, and so that's where I actually responded with the email.
Yeah, I appreciate that email. I would benefit from a full board conversation about the tribal coordination component. I'm happy to move it forward. I think that, as we said last time, it should happen as soon as possible because it's important. But I just learn better having a full board conversation about something that's so complex. I remember when I looked at this last time, there are like 6 RCWs that are touched on with this. And I just want to ensure that if we're pushing something forward, saying we're going to be coordinating with tribes, that we fully understand what that entails so we can make sure we're doing it properly.
To clarify, it's Thurston Regional Planning Council coordination with tribes at the sort of the UGM subcommittee and like sort of the TRPC board level. I know there was 3 UGM subcommittee meetings actually on it. I don't know if Commissioner Menzer, how many of those you were a part of?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, that's why I didn't ask, but, I mean, it was, yeah, I didn't need it, but I understand there was, yeah, I mean, it is a little bit complicated to understand, whether that's handled by Commissioner Klaus separately or whether the board Commissioner Mejia has her hand up, I'd like to maybe get her input. If there's a majority of the board that wants session, we can do that, but.
And I think I'll go back and watch the video. That's what we weren't tracking. I thought it was just one request from a commissioner, which then the email was sent and we're ready to meet with them. But if the commission, and we'll go back, if the commissioner gave that direction to the county manager, then my apologies.
No worries, we can revise that if that's necessary. Commissioner Mejia, go ahead.
Yeah, just the conversation was around that I didn't need it. I know Commissioner Menzer, you chimed in and said you didn't need it either. And to send information, we could have a work session if needed. But not a lot of other commissioners chimed in saying that they needed it. So I don't know if it was official direction given.
Commissioner Fournier.
I don't need a briefing prior to this being on the consent calendar and approved, but it's at some point in the future, we sit down and talk about it and learn about it further. That I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Commissioner Grant.
Yeah, and I would say that, of course, I think that we all could benefit from a briefing, especially me being the newest to the group. But I also am comfortable moving forward with this, based on all of the information that we've gathered already. But I definitely would be interested in understanding more about that collaboration and how TRPC plays a role, things like that.
Okay, so it sounds like what I'm hearing is consensus to have a follow-up with some detail. The question is, do we need to delay the item prior to having that? And I heard differences of opinion on that. Commissioner Klaus, you probably would like to have that before, you said that. Commissioner Mejia, would you want to be briefed before you voted on the item?
No, I'm familiar with this matter. So I don't need a briefing before I vote on it.
Okay, so I think the direction then is the item stays on and we're moving forward because we have a majority that wants to do that, but there's also a majority of the board that wants to have some a short explanatory session on the details of what is involved in this item.
Yeah, we'd be
I
happy to.
mean, just, it sounds odd to say that way, but let me just chime in since I was at those other meetings. This is largely the required by state law. Like, it's not like we've gone some weird direction. This is something that we're trying to conform our process to some changes that happen in state law.
Yep, TRPC's processes,
Yeah,
but that
TRC's
regional
process.
coordination.
So I'm just wanna make sure the public's clear that like as we learn more about it, it doesn't mean that, it's a little bit dissociated from the need to move it forward, because sometimes that happens. State law tells you gotta update things. But, the implementation of it or the way it would be used, we have time.
Yes, and we will be inviting TRPC, since it'll be largely their implementation effort.
To help
to
us
hear.
explain. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay, perfect.
That was clear, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Next item up is item H, amendment to subrecipient contract for Thurston County Special Operations Rescue Team.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. Ben Miller-Todd, Director of Emergency Services. The long and the short of this one is that there were in excess of $9,300 in training funds associated with Region 3. The region recommended to allocate those to Thurston County Special Operations Team, or their SORT team. With that, since the original agreement was roughly $23,000, we were in excess of 10%, which was written into the contract amendment for the director, and we're back here to reallocate those funds to the SORT team. These funds expire as of May 31st, 2025, and they're associated with grant funding in fiscal year 22. So we're finishing out that fiscal year's grant funding. With that, we're asking for your support.
Madam Clerk, a typo or total in.
There should be an extra T in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Consent item.
Yes.
Consent action piece. Other than that, any other questions for Ben? Sounds like good news, basically.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Ben. Next item is I. I'm also Emergency Services, Physician Professional Services Agreement for Special Weapons and Tactics.
Yes, so as a part of the SWAT team, Thurston County is relatively unique. Thurston County ultimately embeds a paramedic and they embed a physician into their SWAT team for all responses. With that, this is an agreement with that SWAT MD, Dr. Daniel Gilday, who is a physician at Providence St. Pete's. He's been a part of the team for well over a decade. This is a long-standing agreement, and this is just the next 2-year agreement and that iteration. One of the key changes I wanted to make sure that we pointed out is that historically, OES, which is the group that provides emergency physicians that Dr. Gilday is a part of, has provided the malpractice insurance. And so what you see called out in the description is that the county has elected to pick up that malpractice description for a total of about $5,500 a year. And that's really the only change, and that's why there was a slight delay or a hiccup. You'll notice that the contract is backdated to January 1st. It's just we had to work through some of those risk and legal components that popped up last minute. And so with that, this contract has been has been supported by the EMS Council and is a long-standing agreement in the county.
See no hands on that one. Thank you.
Okay.
Next up is 2025 Private Ambulance Business License Renewal.
Absolutely. This is one of those components that's built into code, that there's an annual application that goes through each of our private ambulance companies. This has been supported by EMS Council in support of our 3 local private agencies. And this is coming in front of the board to continue to approve those business licenses.
Questions on this item?
No, I have a comment though.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that, I just want to mention that, I had a chance to tour your facility. And I want to just call out how incredibly impressed I was that we have a state-of-the-art, really, command center. And, that your team has won awards and that, you're setting standards and leading the work in this region. So I just want to say, good job. And it was just really cool and I appreciate all that I learned.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Emergency management appreciates that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I think we're good.
Thank you.
Item K, Human Resources, resolution to adopt new classification, reclassify position, and eliminate FTE. Related to Commissioner's communications team.
Commissioners, Maria Ponte, HR Director. With me is Tara Wickline, Compensation Benefits Manager. I actually have the next 5 items.
Okay, settle in.
All right, so this first request is based on the county's information, public information needs, and we conducted an assessment to determine a path forward. And so the request today is to create a new Chief Communications Manager classification, eliminate a Public Information Specialist. That would save $95,000 a year. And then reclassify another Public Information Specialist to the Chief Communications Manager position. So this would reduce a team of 4 to 3. It is general fund, and you would see a savings of $58,560 a year from that restructure. So that's that in a nutshell. I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I don't think I have any questions. I just want to say thank you for getting the information over to me so quickly. I had a couple questions over the weekend, and so, and providing, and I'm really impressed that, you know, we have written out job descriptions and a whole, you know, kind of framework for the idea for moving forward for communication. So great job on that, and no concerns at all for me.
Cool.
I just want to give big props because this has been a long time coming. This was something that I remember we had conversations about years ago. And the most we could ever do was do like a senior program manager, and that was something that I really pushed for just because of the level of, you know, communications that we were having, adding those positions up. So I'm glad to finally see this come through because it really has been such a long time. I think it's been 3 years that this has been kind of just thrown around how we need to revamp and redo our communications team. And Maria, I know like I bugged you quite a bit about that. And so, you know, props to Leonard for finally getting this through across. And I'm really excited to put these positions up and get a new communications person.
Yay, excellent. Well, thank you.
I didn't get my question out, I think, till yesterday, so I don't know if you saw it, but I was sort of wondering about the, you know, when we first tried to enhance communications, we added staff to different departments that we didn't have before, CPED, Public Health, Public Works. And now that we added positions here, and now we're elevating positions, I'm just like, is it still gonna kind of have that same structure, or is part of this is coming with this change, a change in that structure of having those, you know, PIOs that are not part of the commissioner's team? Or are they gonna, it wasn't clear from the email about that.
So this is, I think, a continuation of the same direction that the commissioners, to Commissioner Mejia's point, started, and that's part of what has helped me to get educated as to what has taken place, where were we at with the old configuration, and how do we move forward. I think what both county managers, assistant county managers weighed in and worked with Maria is really a team effort on trying to do this in a way that we are being mindful of the budget issue. So that's why we're being smart and taking a position and retooling it. But the need for that chief county communication officer to have a lot more coordination. Obviously, the offices with their public information officers will continue to operate. With the departments, it'll be, there has been an investment in staff, and so bringing those together. We were doing that informally. I believe it started in 2024, Commissioner Menser, with the former communications lead, bringing those folks together. But what we'd like to do is, with the addition of this position and working on that team, to really take it to the next level and doing a lot more coordination of the stories that we're developing from within the departments with the commissioner's office and communicating that out. I think we saw some progress being made, but there does need to be some more strategy in place, and that's where this position will work collaboratively and very closely with our departments and very collaboratively with the offices to help amplify the messages and the good work. What I find is that there's a lot of wonderful things taking place in the county, and we want to get that to you as commissioners so that you can communicate to your constituents and also communicate that out and create some content in a new and exciting way. Lots of things are no longer just press releases. It's video, social media posts, and as a county, we should be doing a whole lot more of content creation, which we look forward to this position, working with our departments who have a lot of ideas and funneling that out.
So one of the people, I don't know which one, but one of the people that will be brought in will have, like the skill set that'll be needed, will have a lot of that ability to create video content and things like that.
Yeah, the positions are pretty open. And what we don't want to do is just hire folks with the same skill set and have the same, in this situation, we don't want 3 writers, but we do want someone that can do audio visual, someone that's really good at social media marketing, and then someone with experience of tying all of that together from a management level. And then working with your offices and your aides to help amplify the work that the commissioners come together and do on a weekly basis and tell those stories in real time.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I appreciate the direction, and I'm really hoping, and I'm hearing that you're saying that's what you're gonna do, is we do develop a more centralized strategy and we employ somebody that can, take a leadership role in communications, like globally throughout the county, because it does seem like things are kind of disparate and kind of, insular in the approach. So yeah, having a unified countywide strategy, I think, would be a great goal.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Makes sense. Yeah, cool. Commissioner Klaus?
I just had a quick question. Was the old position a union position?
No, these are all
Okay.
non-union.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions on that item? Seeing none, we'll go to your next item, Maria, which is L, adopt new classification, laboratory technician, and reclassify environmental health technician, PHSS.
Okay, this request actually dates back. It was approved by the commissioners during budget. It did take us some time to create this new classification of laboratory technician. The purpose of the position is test water samples, assess public health risk, and ensure compliance with environmental regulations. The department is taking a current FTE, an environmental health technician, and reclassifying it. They're at the same pay rate, so there is no increase in this request. These are union positions, and we have vetted this by the union. They have no concerns. And in terms of the funding, it's both positions are from the environmental health water lab fees. So it's a fairly simple request. Do you have any questions?
No questions on L. We'll go to M. Resolution repealing Thurston County Management and Technical Pay Plan Administrative Manual.
Okay. So this item and the next item are linked. The Thurston County Management and Technical Pay Plan dates to January of 1980. There's been few updates to that plan. What we've discovered is it's primarily, there's really only 2 items that we practice from that plan. And so what we're doing is we're incorporating our current practices into personnel policies and asking to repeal this pay plan. It was established to have a framework for compensating our exempt and management employees. So I'd like to actually move on to the personnel policy so I can walk you through what the changes there are, if that's okay?
Yep.
All right. So as you know, for several years, staff and I have been working to update several chapters of the personnel policies. It's the first 5 chapters. Our goals were to ensure consistency with state law and county practice, to correct outdated references, remove redundant language, clarify personnel practices and incorporate changes for consistency with collective bargaining agreements. We were also looking to provide greater flexibility to appointing authorities to extend job offers and promotions. We are updating the requirements for employees engaging in outside employment, as well as we're expanding the employment of immediate family members. Some of you are aware, we don't allow employment of relatives. This will broaden that as long as there's not a conflict of interest. Then that we will update and include pay practices for our, you'll hear them referred to as MTP, but again, these are management level positions that are exempt from the overtime provisions. We're also adding compensation during a state of emergency and other supplemental pay. So that's the broad view. Would you like me to answer any questions or highlight any of the changes?
So Marie, just for better understanding, so we're rolling in the parts of the MTP that matter into the personnel policies, addressing the items for longstanding to serve our staff,
Correct.
and essentially update the personnel policies at the same time.
Yeah, so we're excuse me.
Go ahead,
Okay.
excuse me.
We are enhancing retention, so instead of giving employees their third floating holiday at year 15, they'll get that at year 10. We are changing the promotional rules. Right now, there's like this cap that limits internal candidates from negotiating their salaries, so we are removing that. In terms of recruitment, we're allowing managers to make job offers up to the mid-range. That will reduce.
So in that internal negotiation piece, that's not, I'm in my job and I can go to my boss and be like, I want to raise immediately. That's if I'm moving into a different position within the county, I can talk to them about the pay scale that I would go into that next position at.
Correct.
Okay.
Because right now, and Tara can speak more to it, the minimum promotional employee can get is 5%, but then there's a cap, and I'm not sure where that is. But in many cases, we were finding that external candidates could negotiate a higher salary, and maybe they were equal. And so partly, what was crucial to me is that we eliminate inequities in pay.
And the calculator thing, we're getting rid of that too, right?
That's the MTP plan, no more calculators. Yes, Commissioner Mejia?
Again, I think you heard me quite a bit about this one too, so thank you so much for getting this through. It was very frustrating for employees who were trying to move up to a different position, and yet there was that pay inequity of someone coming in and they couldn't negotiate, and we have a lot of great employees that deserve those positions, and we don't want to lose them. We want them to stay within the organization. We want to keep that knowledge. So just thank you. I think this is a very valuable tool.
What I'll add also to staff's report is what Maria is presenting on today represents months and months of work.
Years.
Wow.
Years, really.
So I appreciate the movement on policies. And I think for some, it's hard to understand and appreciate why it takes so much time to get it kind of out of the mothball stage into the prime time with everyone that has to review. And so thank you for making progress on that with your leadership. And I also want to thank Prosecuting Attorney's Office for their commitment to review in the midst of a number of other things that they're doing. Things in government sometimes turn slowly in the beginning, but as we start to make momentum, and this is a positive sign because it's something that our leaders and directors have been asking and for some time. So thank you.
You're welcome. And one thing I did want to highlight is these rules will immediately apply to non-represented, but once the board approves them, then we will move forward to notify the unions and bargain because some of these are mirrored in the collective bargaining agreement. So there is a next step.
Yeah, and I just have a
Commissioner
comment. I just want to commend you because well, you guys have learned this. I love policy and clarity. And so I reviewed these ad nauseum. And I'm just, was really impressed and really, just want to commend all of you for the work that you've done on these. And, you know, I think that it's really gonna make a huge difference and hopefully it won't, now that we are on our way, it won't take us, 2 or 3 years to get through the rest, but, good job, great job. I had no comments. And so like, I just really was like, oh, this is great. So good job, everybody on this, yeah.
And in terms of next step, Tara and I are working on an implementation plan, notification to the managers so that they understand the many new tools that they're going to have at their disposal for recruitment, retention. And so I appreciate the board support, all of the managers that have supported this, given HR a lot of feedback. And to Leonard's comment, I do appreciate legal, they're very busy and, it was good to work in alignment with them and make sure, because the words matter and the commas matter. And so the time they put in to make sure that that is all good to go.
One other thing, Maria, this is an example of departments working well together. The central services also provided resource with Ellen Massey helping out, jumping in. And this is effectively what we're building here in Thurston County, is our team coming together and solving problems and moving some legacy things forward and building those pathways to have more successes. So well done, everyone.
Thank you. All right.
So that's M and N. Moving on to O, setting a public hearing on proposed ordinance amending Thurston County Code related to salary commission.
Okay, so this proposal is based on when the commissioners went from 3 districts to 5 districts. We needed to also incorporate those changes into the makeup of our salary commission. And so this proposal is to hold a public hearing to propose the following. Each commission district will have 1 citizen representative. This representative is selected by lot, so the auditor's office pulls these names from voter registrations. And anybody that is qualified is brought before the board and you get to make the final appointment. Any current salary commission members whose terms have not expired will be confirmed and they will continue to serve. Currently, only District 2 will have a vacancy because the current member is no longer living within the district. Salary commission members representing commissioner districts 1, 2, and 3, whose terms expire on March 31st of 2025, will no longer continue to serve. Let's see here, and the updates to the qualifications for commissioner appointed members, you get 4 of those, will be in the experience in the field of personnel management or related field. We're removing the requirement for someone in legal. It's very hard to get somebody with a legal background to serve in these positions. It's been vacant for years. It was filled for a very brief time, and that person was actually hired by the county. And so that will give us greater flexibility to go out and find people, ideally that have a background in labor, personnel, compensation. Commissioner Fournier?
So we're changing the matrix of the people that sit on the board, and it's going, I heard saying that there'll be a lottery, and that'll be for some, but then there'll also still be some experts or?
Correct, they're experts in the field of personnel management, so we get citizens that are selected by lot. The current rules have always included 4 appointees that the commissioners get to appoint. It always required personnel management experience, but then it also required somebody to have a background in legal, so we were always looking for an attorney as well as somebody in labor. And so what this does is it still allows us, if we, can ideally find somebody from labor. I tried and several other people have tried to fill those positions and it's very difficult. So this allows us to find, again, qualified individuals, but won't limit our pool the way that it has historically.
So it's 4 people and that same label applies to all 4?
Correct.
So it'll be 4 people that could be any of those things.
Yeah, related field, I mean, they could all be HR people in theory,
And
or they could
each
be
district
legal.
will choose
Plus, then there's
one
a,
plus the lottery ones.
the lottery ones are 1 per district.
Okay.
So there's 9 then?
9, yes.
So five that are chosen by lot, 1 per district, and then 4 that we appoint with some subject matter expertise, but now we've made it more flexible.
Okay.
Commissioner Klaus?
I think that you've done a really good job with this and all the items that have been adjusted that we're looking at today. My one question on this piece is, I'm a little bit concerned about taking out the requirement for someone from organized labor. I know that has been traditionally hard to fill, but I've had some folks that are in organized labor reach out to me about applying or having submitted an application and not heard back. So I think that that's just a really important voice to have on the salary commission, so I'm wondering if there's an appetite for leaving the organized labor component as a requirement.
We can still, I'm sorry, yeah.
Oh, I was asking Maria, sorry. I just wanted to know.
I mean, we can still look to fill that, but, and you can email me additional information, but, we were not successful. And I don't know when this individual told you that they had submitted. If it's been recent, it could be that we haven't responded because we're in the middle of these changes. We don't want to commit to an appointment. But we can still focus on that, because I agree. I think the labor voice is important for us to hear. But when you can't find them, and there were many meetings we would have to cancel because we just didn't have a
Yeah.
quorum.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so for an artist, this gives us the ability to move forward.
County Manager.
Thank you, Chair. It doesn't preclude someone with a labor background from still participating. I think the goal is to open it up wider. And if there's folks that have reached out, send those names over to Maria so she can.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because we've found the exact opposite, like nobody applying, which then only keeps a seat vacant and then makes the job of the commission harder. I understand that's been a historic dynamic.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I recruited a legal person. We filled it for like 2 years, but that was historically been super difficult, as Maria said. And if the board agrees, the board probably does agree with you, at least I do. So, if we want to make sure we can prioritize putting an organized labor applicant into one of those seats,
I just think if it's
so
not
that we-
written,
But if it's no applicants, then we're not hamstrung.
no, that totally makes sense, especially with the legal professional. I can see that being a difficult one. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, so maybe this is an offline conversation, but I did bring up the fact that an organized labor representative applied a few months ago and was waiting to hear back, and I didn't hear a follow-up from that at all. So I don't know, I'm a little concerned if we take out that requirement for the organized labor representative, we're not always gonna be the Board of County Commissioners, and if it's not written in there that it's required, we don't know that will always be a voice that's included. And I think it's important to have someone from organized labor. I'm okay with removing the other specific requirements.
Which is what, legal and what else?
Legal and
HR and business?
Business, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are all kind of compiled into one.
Yeah, I think the new language kind of hits on all of those in a streamlined way, but the organized labor one is just a little bit, it's like a little bit of a special role that we're having on there.
I'm an active member of organized labor, and I don't want anybody thinking that or portraying that this commission is advocating removing that voice. I don't think that's at all what this is. So I think that's important to say. And I believe that everybody on this board values the voice of labor. So I think that's important to remember. And this creates flexibility because this is a small community. We don't always get that ideal application that we want. And you can't forgo the good for the perfect, because the perfect doesn't always exist. We got to move forward. I think it's, you know, when you get applications in, just like these all come in, it's the ability of, and, you know, it's important for the board to advocate for the values that they have, and you know, so that would be when we would advocate for a labor candidate. But if that candidate doesn't exist, we can't be hamstrung as well. So, and I'll also, you know, I'm not into speaking for future boards. You know, they would have the ability to undo this, redo this, change it however they want, but, you know, this is a community that values labor, empowers labor, and it would, I think the way that this is set up would allow us to seek those type of candidates and empower those type of candidates. But if that candidate isn't coming in like we've seen, and I hear you saying that people have applied, but I don't know that to be true or not true. I know that I reached out to the Labor Council and sought out members who, they told me they applied. I don't know that they did, or I don't know that they didn't. But, and there was always confusion about, well, I told so-and-so to apply, and, you know, and so whether it happened or not, I don't know, but, you know, if they didn't come forward, I know that every application that gets put in comes before us. I don't think HR is filtering applications and, you know, pre-vetting them. But, I appreciate this proposal, and I like the work that you put in, so thank you.
Commissioner Grant?
Well, yeah, and I think that, we're talking about two separate issues, but, you know, one is a missing application, and the other is changing or expanding the language, not to exclude, but to expand. I would agree that that's kind of what we're doing, is making it so that we don't have an empty position always. But I would be interested in, this is what I would say, is that I do hope that when people apply, that they're letting, you know, us know, or that we make sure that there's a process in place, just so that people don't feel like they've applied and we haven't recognized their, but I would say as a commissioner, yesterday I had someone apply for something and I said, please send me a copy of your application. And then I know that they actually did apply, and so I don't worry about why no one showed it to me, because a lot of people don't. You know, so that's all I.
And to clarify, if it was an email inquiry, I could ask the clerk, individual assigned to clerking, versus an application, which I think goes through a workflow. And so I'll find out.
Okay, that'd be great, that makes sense. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
well, I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Klaus, and I agree, and I would personally prioritize a labor applicant for the reasons you've described, but having been here 7 years and seeing it never full,
Yeah.
ever, I'm pretty frustrated, and I wanna see a little more flexibility, because just like we've chased our tail on this, we've also chased our tail on the salary commissions as the right structure, but we've never had a full functioning salary commission. So before I wanna change that whole process, I wanna see a full, robust salary commission and see if that makes people feel better about the work they do. But we've struggled with that every year. Commissioner Klaus and then County Manager.
Yeah, I agree with everything I'm hearing, and I wanna see a full salary commission too. I think all of these issues are important, so I'm not diminishing anything I'm hearing. I do appreciate the work you've done. And I think that, the sentence that's been added or changed, the persons selected under this subsection must have had experience in the field of personnel management or a related field. I think a quick fix could just be personnel management, organized labor, or a related field, so we're not taking that language out.
I think that's a good suggestion. Any thoughts about that idea? Just specifying it in the broader umbrella.
I kind of just, as is, for me,
Personnel management.
yeah, I think it's broad enough that it covers, and
I'm good with moving forward as it is.
Commissioner Grant?
I think I'm okay either way.
Well, you have to decide.
I know,
'cause
I
it's
mean,
2-2.
I think that, repeat what you were asking to
Okay,
change.
so we've taken out organized labor here, but if we just put it here, the persons selected under this subsection must have experience in the field of personnel management, organized labor, or related field. So we're just taking it and putting it here and not,
So we're at least recognizing it, but
yeah.
is that amendment we can just do right now? And then still move it forward?
This is next week's agenda, so yeah. we
Yeah,
can-
so, I think that's, I mean, I do see a value in keeping it on there for our labor partners, because then it's just in there, right? For field of personnel management,
Yeah.
labor or a related field.
I mean, yeah, organized labor is, personnel management and organized labor can kind of be the same thing, but organized labor is really specific. And I know if I was a union member still, and I read this and I saw personnel management, I wouldn't feel like I can relate to that. But any union member is a member of organized labor. So I do feel like that's important to put in there and keep.
Okay, I agree.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a direction to
Quick
make that
adjustment.
change. The item, simple change?
Simple enough.
Is that simple?
Yeah. And I'll run it by, I'll let legal because they sign off, but I don't think it's a huge barrier.
Appreciate it, good discussion. Move that forward next week. Item P. Oh, thank you, Maria.
Thanks, Maria.
Item P is information technology, renewal of interpersonal frequency, hosting, and support.
Good morning. Sherry Elg, IT Director, and I am seeking authorization to renew our interpersonal frequency premier service level cloud hosting and support for $132,452. This interpersonal frequency is how we host our external facing website, and they provide hosting and support for the website.
Questions on that?
I wouldn't even know where to begin. So this is about computers?
Just kidding.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is a great job, like Sherry's been doing. Sherry, I knew what you were talking about, just so you know.
Yeah, I did too. Thank you, yeah, she is amazing.
Okay, item Q is Public Health and Social Services, Amendment Number 2 to the Washington State Department of Health Consolidated Contract.
Yes, hello, Jen Freiheit, Public Health and Social Services Director. This is the promised first amendment or second amendment of the CON. There will be many more throughout the year. This is because the Department of Health adjusts their dollars throughout the year as they realign. So this particular amendment covers $50,000 for overdose prevention, a little over $9,000 for TB elimination, and $4,500 for our beach process, so.
Sounds like we're getting more money
Correct.
by 63,000, so that sounds good.
And there will be more. We already know of ones coming up next month and the month after that as they adjust.
Questions on the consolidated contract? Yep.
Can I just ask a process question? So I'm guessing con means consolidated contract, right? And so, do we, every single time we get additional money, you guys have to come before the board and ask for it to be added to the thing?
23 times last round. Yes.
Okay. All right.
When the state first sends out the consolidated contract, they don't quite have all of the numbers worked out.
Right, oh, yeah.
So it sort of just happens throughout the year.
Oh, yeah. Okay, just wondering. Seems like a lot of work. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Item R, Agreement with Catholic Community Services, HSS.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mark Moffitt, Program Manager, Social Services. So this is a result of an RFP, so we do this every year. And Catholic Community Services is the only one that has applied for the past 5 years. And so nothing has changed on this. This is a contract to provide 3 bed nights for homeless veterans. Last year for this contract, we only used half the contract, but we served 11 veterans with 543 bed nights. So roughly, math in my head, I think 60, something like this, 60 per person, or maybe it was 90 beds per person, what the average was. And so this is another contract. They haven't changed their price of $45 per night since before COVID. So I think 2019 since the last time they changed it. And it's a fee for service, so we don't pay the full amount unless we use it.
Commissioner Grant?
Yeah, so are we doing the exact same amount again this year?
Correct.
But we only used half of it last year?
Correct. So I'm working with Catholic Community Services. They want us if we have a veteran come in that's qualified, we can send them directly to them. We give them a call and we'll send them to them. So it's a little different. So hopefully we can use up the entire contract this year.
Sounds good, and thank you for this incredible program.
Where do the funds come from?
The Veterans Assistance Program. And contrary to some beliefs, we do have homeless veterans in the community. We represent between 5 and 7% of the point in time count. So that's anywhere between 50 and 75 veterans. Not all of them come in for services. It's a different population. They don't want to ask for that help, and when they do, we really want to get them involved. And we do that a lot at the Veterans Service Hub in Lacey.
I'm just gonna publicly, I wanna make sure that we kind of repeat what this asset is, which is that up to 3 days, right, of emergency housing for any homeless.
Each night, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Up to 3 beds each night.
3 beds,
Yeah.
but up to how many days can someone
We
stay?
try to limit it to 90 per veteran. And
Oh,
in that-
they
in
can
that-
get 90 days of housing?
Yes, at the shelter, at the Catholic Community Shelter next to Drexel House.
Yeah.
And in that time, Catholic Community Services does provide some case management to try to get them into housing.
Awesome, thank you.
I just wanna know, I think this is extremely critical. I think all of us are in agreement that this is a really beneficial program, so thank you for the work to move this forward. Is this something we could put on the department items just so that the community can hear, the benefits of this program? I think, just like you said, contrary to some belief, we do have public comment often saying that we don't have any homeless veterans in our community. And I just would love to highlight this, during a business meeting.
Any one commissioner can pull something from the consent calendar and add it to department items.
Yeah, and I would echo that, and I think that this is really important, also for collaboration with all of the other homeless agencies, so that if they know that there's this availability for that specific population, that they can refer. Instead, so they can free up their beds by referring, and so, I think it's great, so.
And we have worked with other shelters in the past, Union Gospel Mission and Salvation Army. They just haven't applied for it.
And Mark's team is part of the coordinated entry group that meets, and so they're a part of that, and so anything comes up, I know they have Mark's contact info.
So Commissioner Claus, I just want to make sure your question got answered. The answer is yes. You
Yeah,
just
I
have to
would
make
like
that request.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to do that.
Okay, so we'll pull item R off of looking at the clerk. To departments. Okay, thanks, Mark.
Great, all right, thank you.
Item S, amendment to hazardous weather contract.
And Alex Purse will be presenting on this.
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alex Purse, Affordable Housing Program Manager. I am stepping in for Tom on this item today. The request is to add funds to 2 different contracts that we hold for hazardous weather. One is for an amended amount of $15,000 for Olympia Mutual Aid Partners, also known as OLIMAP. They provide shelter in place during hazardous weather events. And then another is for $10,000 for Interfaith Works, who provides shelter activities during a hazardous weather event. So we have had 3 declared hazardous weather events since July of 2025. The contracts run until June 30th, so the addition of funds is to ensure that both of these agencies have enough fund in their fund balances or on their contracts for any future hazardous weather events that may occur before June 30th. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions on S?
I just see this as local document recording fees. Can you explain what that means, please?
Yes, our funding source for these contracts is the 5386 funds, which are local document recording fees. So every time someone pays a document recording fee when they buy a house or something of that nature, a portion of that funding is allowed to be spent on local homeless service. So we get those funds and then we award them out through our request for proposals annually.
It's usually like $1 per document or something like that. Is that
I do not know the exact number.
typically it's like a little surcharge? It's targeted toward a source. Commissioner Grant? and then
So ultimately, we're just, increasing contracts, right? Increasing the funding in order to cover the additional hours that were needed to kind of cover things. My quick question on this is, I know that there was a night that this year that one of them had to close because of lack of staffing. And so just wondering about whether we have anything in that contract that of a clause of contingency plan for that, and or any sort of thing that holds them accountable to keeping it open if we have a contract. Yeah.
I do not know the specifics of these contracts, Commissioner Grant, but I can write that question down, and I will have Tom address that at the next meeting if that's okay.
Commissioner McKee?
Yeah, I believe they didn't close down. They were able to get the staffing, but it was announced that they were going to close down. Yeah, I was just gonna make just a general comment that I think maybe it's time to get a breakdown on all the funds that we receive and kind of how those funds are being used for the future, just kind of a report out. I was very involved in this, but I think that as we're getting new board members, I think it's just good to do a refresher on all the multiple funds we have for housing and how we're using them.
Across all funding sources, just so I'm understanding.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the future, just some.
And I won't ask so many questions.
This is
Thanks,
where
Alex.
Yep.
we need direction because that's.
Okay, so is there agreement for Commissioner Mejia's proposal? I'm thumbs up on that.
Second.
So it looks like everybody agrees that.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, thank you, County Manager. Did you have anything?
Nope.
Okay.
My question was answered.
Perfect. Okay, then that's S. Let's go to T, Amendment to Homes First Affordable Housing Development Contract.
Okay, so this is my area. So in 2023, Homes First was awarded $95,400 to partially finance the development of 4 accessory dwelling units for ADUs at the property they own on Oak Farrell in Olympia. Those ADUs, they're in development. Once they are fully developed, they will be used as affordable renting housing for individuals with AMIs below or area median incomes below 60%. So then in 2024, they came back with another request to add for additional funds for this project. Since the project application included the same scope of work that the original contract that we issued in 2023, and it was the same funding source that we were using, the request to you all is to add the additional award that was awarded in 2024 to the existing contract that we already held for the 2023 award.
And what's the funding source?
The funding source is Substitute House Bill 1406. So these are
That's good.
document recording fees as well.
Okay, thank you. Yep, got it. Just wondering.
Other questions on T? Not seeing any. Thank you, Alex. Next up, also yours, it looks like, contract with Homes First, Cleveland Avenue Affordable Housing Rehabilitation.
Yes, thank you. So Homes First applied in March of 2024 to our Community Development Block Grant, our CDBG RFP, for funding to renovate or rehabilitate the property that they own on Cleveland Avenue in Tumwater. So the 2024 program year was a CDBG, was Tumwater CDBG year. So this property is currently being used as affordable rental housing for individuals who are living, it's a sober living home. So it's for individuals who are needing an affordable place to live while they're in recovery. So the request is for $245,000. The request is to issue a contract with Homes First to get these funds under contract so they can begin their rehab process.
CDBG has a whole process underneath it, right? In terms of identifying the right project for the funding for that year.
Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. This is just a cleanup stuff.
I mean, this is a Tumwater.
Yeah.
So, Okay, other questions?
No.
Okay,
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
up to environmental health now. I see Stuart Whitford behind me. We have interagency agreement with Puget Sound Partnership for on-site sewage system maintenance activities.
Good morning, Commissioner. Stuart Whitford, Environmental Health Program Manager. So I guess this is some good news, getting some more money out to the community to help them with minor repairs to septic systems, pumping, which has become, fairly expensive, and riser installation and things like that. So we're asking you to move to execute the interagency agreement 2025-16 between Thurston County and the Puget Sound Partnership in the amount of $91,500 for financial incentives aimed at increasing OSS maintenance activities across all shellfish growing area watersheds, to include the installation of tank risers and small maintenance grants for low-income homeowners, and authorize the director, Jen, to execute the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%. So this will pair up with existing rebate and incentive programs that we have, because we recognize that the cost of maintaining septics continues to rise, and to actually fix them is continuing to rise as well.
Is this part of the from PSP? Is this part of the strategic initiative leads?
Yes, it is. It's part of it's coming down from the state through the strategic initiative, yes.
Okay, very good. No, looks like there's no questions. Thank you. Easy item on that. Okay, on to item W. Request for proposals for an environmental mitigation site maintenance contract. Public Works.
Good morning, Commissioners. County Manager, my name is Matt Unsman, Thurston County Engineer. This item is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to issue an RFP for an environmental mitigation site maintenance services for various environmental sites across Thurston County in order for us to comply with permitting requirements. All of these sites have monitoring periods specified by the regulatory authority, and we also have to meet performance issues that are established by those regulatory agencies as well. Public Works would like to contract this work for a 5-year term to guarantee service as well as pricing. The initial term will be for a 1 year, followed by 4 1-year renewal options. The estimated cost for the 5-year term is $500,000 and will be locally funded.
Questions on item W? Locally funded meaning?
So most of our capital projects, not most of our capital projects, but a lot of our capital projects come from the road fund. So it would be road fund dollars or whatever program paid for the initial capital project. So it might be a stormwater project, or which would come from our stormwater fund.
Okay, issuing an RFP. Any questions? No, thank you. We'll go to item X. Resolution and call for sealed bids on county road safety and electrical services projects.
All right. Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to call for sealed bids for 2 projects in a combined contract. Both contracts were awarded federal funding through the Highway Safety Improvement Program. The 2 projects include the 2024 HSIP County Road Safety Project, as well as the County-wide Electrical Services Project. Bidding both projects as a combined construction project will provide efficiencies in terms of costs as well as project management. The Washington State Department of Transportation has approved that both of these projects can be bid in a single contract, because this is federal funding, and WashDOT provides the guidance over how the funding is used. The first project's the 2024 County Road Safety Improvement Project, and that project's going to improve safety in our rural corridors throughout the county by upgrading signs, installing guardrail, installing rumble strips, and slope flattening, if I can get that word out, and other similar countermeasures. In addition to these safety improvements, a new pedestrian mid-block crossing will be installed on Yelm Highway near the overpass on the Chehalis Western Trail. The second project's the County-wide Electrical Services Project, and that project's going to improve the safety of intersections throughout Thurston County with installing safety countermeasures such as lane narrowing, speed feedback signs, and streetlights. So the total estimated cost for these improvements in the two projects is $3.913 million, which will be funded with $3.778 million of federal funds. So we're leveraging $135,000 of county road funds for $3.778 million of federal funding.
Sounds like a deal.
It's a great deal.
Questions for Matt?
Thanks, Matt.
Okay. Next up is resolution and call for sealed bids for 2025 pavement preservation supplemental overlay.
All right, the supplemental overlay. Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to call for sealed bids for the 2025 pavement preservation supplemental overlay project. This project will include Old Highway 9, starting at Old Highway 99 Southwest. This road has significant pavement deterioration and a structural overlay is required rather than a chip seal treatment because of how bad the road has deteriorated. The estimated cost is $600,000 and will be paid for using REIT funding.
Questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Item Z, resolution call for sealed bids for Shawn Drive at unnamed tributary to Dempsey Creek Fish Passage project.
Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to call for sealed bids for a contract to construct the Shawn Drive Southwest at an unnamed tributary to Dempsey Creek Fish Passage project. The estimated construction cost is $1.1 million. This will be paid for using $926,000 from the Water Resources Streamflow Restoration Program, which is through the Washington State Department of Ecology. Another $50,000 is coming from the Salmon Recovery Funding Board, the SURF Board. And the remaining cost will come from the REIT funding that's allocated for the Fish Passage program. So once again, leveraging a little bit of local money for a lot of state funding. So this project is going to replace a 3-foot culvert with a 33-foot prefabricated steel bridge. The removal of this barrier will open up about 1.7 miles of habitat upstream. And another note, the bridge has already been previously secured in another contract, and that steel bridge will be delivered to the project site for a contractor to set in place during construction.
All right.
I just want to comment on this, that I think I saw that bridge, or something similar to that
very
bridge.
similar to that bridge.
But I just want to call out, since this is on the consent agenda, that I was absolutely blown away and impressed with the staff engagement, the tour that I took out at Public Works. If you have not been to Public Works, and this is for the public too, to see this incredible state of it's just incredible, the building and all of the inner workings of how hard this crew works for our roads. It was just amazing, and I just want to say that I recognize in all of the different areas, including projects like this one, where we're saving money and time and logistical messes by prefabricating these bridges, bringing them to Thurston County, and then moving them into place and getting them done very quickly. And it's one of probably 50 innovative projects that I heard about during the time that I met with all of the different departments and staff. And so for that, I just want to say thank you, and to all of everyone at Public Works for me, also for being really fun and showing me all the really cool stuff, including sign making and the rodeo stuff. And, so it was just great. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the kind words. We have an incredible team.
Yeah, you do. Yep. Oh, one other thing, I want to also recognize that 2 different times in this last week, in talking with community partners who have been in contract with us, they have said Thurston County, above all, is the one place we want to contract with compared to any other county. They are the easiest to work with. 2 different contracting companies told me that over the last week, and so just want to recognize that too. Thank you for being a good partner.
Yeah, we're excited that county level that Karen Weiss was part of Jennifer's leadership team that for 7 years. Took the department, has built a lot of structure and is carrying that direction on. And, we know that,
Thank you.
we know that doesn't happen by accident, but it's leadership's decision to
Absolutely.
make things better and to organize things. So I think we're seeing the fruit of all that. So thank you, Jennifer and Karen, and all the leaders at Public.
Thanks, man. Okay, you still here?
Last
I'm
one.
not going anywhere.
Last
Item AA, WashDOT Agency Hall Road Detour Agreement for Yelm Loop Phase 2.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of a different one. So as part of the Washington State Department of Transportation's planned project for the Yelm Loop Phase 2, Thurston County was asked to participate in a detour agreement with WashDOT to allow traffic to be detoured onto county roads. Construction of the Yelm Loop Phase 2 project is quote-unquote expected to begin this summer. I have heard that there may be a little bit of a delay, so it might be the fall of this year, but it is anticipated to begin this year, and it would wrap up in the winter of 2027. It's a very large project. The detour agreement end date is 2029, and that's to anticipate for any unforeseen circumstances. Public Works has been working with WashDOT on the development of the detour plans, along with reviewing the agreement with legal counsel. And under this agreement, WashDOT will be responsible for maintenance and repairs of the county roads that are specifically used for the detours. WashDOT will be responsible for funding all the repairs. Specific roads impacted by the detours include portions of Canal Road, Grove Road, Flume Road, and 103rd Avenue, which portions are owned by either Thurston County or the city of Yelm. And then WashDOT will be ultimately responsible for posting advance notice of these closures and providing information to the public before the project begins.
Commissioner Mejia?
Thank you. So I know that part of the funding that and coordination that we did with WashDOT, part of it was going to be the Yelm Public Works, and I'm guessing this is part of their project that they.
This is actually this is a separate project. So
This
there's 4 projects going on in Yelm. This is the WashDOT project. Thurston County is responsible for doing the roundabout at Vale Road and State Route 507. Pierce County is responsible for State Route 702 and State Route 507 to do a roundabout there. And then the city of Yelm is actually responsible for a project that was 1 roundabout, but it's turned into 2 roundabouts. There's gonna be a roundabout, State Route 507 in Bald Hill, as well as State Route 507 and Morse Road. So I'm a nerd. So when you add up all the roundabouts that are included in these projects, I think you end up 2 at Yelm, 4, and then the state has 3. I think there's a total of 7 roundabouts that are coming to the Yelm area within the next 5 years.
And on that, I'm wondering, right, you mentioned that there might be some delays, and is this pertaining to the funding piece of it? And just seeing the hole in the transportation budget and seeing that they haven't found a fix yet, I'm just wondering, like, is this funding for sure secure, or I just don't want us to be on the hook for anything if later on, something happens with their funding. And we went through this a couple of years ago, and there was a lot of work with Representative Barkas to be sure to get that funding piece, because then they were trying to short us there for a little bit. And so, as just seeing the writing on the wall at the state level, like, I'm just wondering about this one, if we're.
Do you want me to take this?
So I would say this is something separate, in coordination, but separate. But no, the county will not move forward with the construction of the project unless the Board of County Commissioners if we don't have state funding, which is what the previous board had approved, if this board wants to give direction to use county road fund money for a state project,
that would need to happen in order for us to move forward with construction of the project.
And I know this is just the road detour, like, piece of it, of things, so nothing to actually do with the construction, but I just,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As far as like the funding for the Yelm Loop project, I think we'll know more here in the upcoming months as the budget gets defined.
But the signaling that the State Department didn't apply for the funding is a great concern to Public Works staff. Based on the direction that the board and, they're updating me that the board took to only fund this with state funding, so that, you're right, Commissioner Mejia, so that we don't get caught in a situation where the anticipation or the expectations that the county continue funding it unless the board provides that clear direction.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Matt, appreciate it. Item BB, appointment to Civil Service Commission. The consent action is to appoint Ms. Nicole Syke. And we had 2 candidates, and I had asked for a little bit of additional time. Is there a discussion on item BB? Okay, I think I'm comfortable with that after looking through. I think we have 2 good candidates, so it's kind of a toss-up, but the one has a little more experience on point, so. Okay, that's BB, we'll do that on consent. CC, and the next several are voucher lists. We have January 6th, 13, 20, 27, February 3rd, 10th. Continuing our catching up as we work through TC Connect and vouchers. Any questions or from the board on those remaining consent items?
Just, we have a 4 million, and there's one that's 15 million. If there's some kind of explanation to the.
Say that again, Commissioner, I'm sorry.
County Manager, so Commissioner Fournier pointed out that they're all pretty consistent except the FF is 15.5 million.
Just a note, like.
Might be good to
We
know
can round
some.
up with Darren to provide that information as to why
The
that one is so
outstanding
high.
item.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll circle back on that. That brings us to department items, besides the one that we moved over. We've got 6A, contract award for Thurston County scaled back courthouse hill renovation.
Morning, Commissioners. Tom Stremke, Capital Projects Manager with Central Services. This is actually an amendment to the existing contract we have with Mortensen Construction for $5.5 million to do the scaled back renovation at the courthouse. We've been through many iterations of this project. We got the direction from commissioners to do a scaled back version totaling 5.5, and this is requesting your authorization to move forward with it. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? So how locked in are the plans that connect to the budget that we're approving here? I mean, can adjustments still be made, or is it kind of locked down exactly what's going to be done for that 5.5 million? How do those 2 things align?
We have it locked down per your direction and the cost associated with that. We do have some contingencies in there if something happens that were unforeseen. But at the 5.5, we can't adjust that. It's a guaranteed maximum price, so we're not gonna go over the 5.5.
Right.
But if there's savings, we can put it back into the project if we,
So adjustments within budget potentially? But-
yes.
Okay.
And the way that the space configurations, Chair, were developed, they're all contingent and on the agreement that the stakeholders made to do that level of work to get to that level of cost.
Correct.
So there's a lot of conversations and compromises that everybody made in this process, as this is not the ultimate long-term solution.
Other questions for Tom? Okay, thank you. Perfect. Commissioner reports, and then we'll adjourn. We have 2 public hearings be taken up at 3:30. First one is a public hearing to consider application of Dana Passage Water System for non-exclusive franchise for water distribution system. And Matt's back.
There he is.
Matt is back. We've discussed both of these public hearings multiple times, so I'm not gonna go through them again. I'll just provide you an update. To date, we have not received any public comment on either one of these franchise agreements.
And the second one, just for the public, is to consider application of Woodard Place Water Company for non-inclusive franchise for water distribution system.
That's correct.
So it could be short public hearings is what you're predicting.
They very likely will be short public hearings.
Any questions on the public hearings? Okay, thank you. And that finishes item 1 of this morning's agenda. Now we're gonna look to the Transportation Benefit District agenda. And
I don't want Matt to be lonely up here, so I'm set with him.
passing up on to.
Okay, so we're gonna be calling the Transportation Benefit District meeting to order at 4. There will be the approval of the March 18th, 2025 agenda. Then approval of the meeting minutes from August 20th, 2024. There will be an opportunity for the public to address the board. And we will start with department items at 4:10, hopefully. So first item, 3A, is to ratify the assignment of Thurston County Transportation Benefit District officers for 2025.
Yes, thank you. Karen Weiss, Public Works Director. Ratification of our officers will include ratification of Commissioner Mejia as President and Commissioner Klaus as Vice President. It's assigned by the board in the beginning of the year.
Any questions? Okay, item 3B is the 2024 Thurston County Benefit District Annual Report.
Okay, thank you. We've prepared a 2024 annual report in alignment with statutory requirements. The current TBD is not funded, so it is a report that shows that there's no revenue and expenditures that have been paid out on projects at this point, but it will be filed and for the TBD with the state auditor.
Really hoping to change that. Hint,
Yes.
Commissioners.
Every year we get audited by the state auditor on that too, so they do look at the report.
And the report is already attached for commissioners wanting to take a look at it before the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, item 3C is the Thurston County Benefit District organizational structure and funding options.
Correct, we'll be bringing a presentation to the TBD board that will include several items. The first is an organizational structure option that we'll share, and I think there was a e-brief that has gone out on that to give a little bit of background in advance. There were some follow-up items from our August 2024 last TBD board meeting that we will be bringing back some information. One is about district eligibility for serving on the board based on a question or a comment by a citizen. The third is advisory vote information, both cost, timeline, and potential language that could be used for an advisory committee vote should the board decide to take action on that. And then the last is to bring forward projects that, again, we've refreshed the funding amounts that we believe, based on our current best estimates, could be gathered based on the variable options that are available under the TBD funding sources. And we'll be presenting what those projects based on the various limits could be.
Great, any questions? Okay, and so then with that, we would be adjourned, passing the baton back.
Thank you.
We'll pick up then with item 3, advisory boards.
Good morning, Commissioners. Amy Davis, Clerk of the Board. We have a few items to cover this morning. The first is the Agritourism Advisory Committee. 2 members who recently expired have applied for reappointment. That is John Gordon and Robin Rutledge. And again, I'll run through these just to provide the information, and we can circle back on them next week to receive direction. Next, for the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, we have a few municipal representatives who have been nominated. The City of Olympia has nominated Councilmember Kelly Green as their primary representative, and their Director of Waste Resources, Gary Frakes, as their alternate. The Port of Olympia has nominated Port Commissioner Ayal for their representative. There was also a recruitment run for several weeks by SWAC, for, the business representative seat. And, we received 3 applications total. And David Nightingale, who is the current, chair of the committee, has been nominated for reappointment. There were 2 additional applications received for 1 vacant seat. And the committee has recommended that Jane Appling be appointed to SWAC.
So I have a question there. Your email says that the SWAC reviewed applications, but then the summary sheet has the opposite.
Yes, an updated one was distributed yesterday afternoon that corrects the recommended by committee.
So it's not Patrick Stack.
Correct, it is Jane
So
Appling.
precedes the, okay.
For the Veterans Advisory Board, we've received 1 resignation from Liza Marquiso. She retired earlier this year and has submitted her resignation along with that. And the Veterans Advisory Board has recommended Greg Stevens for appointment. He's eligible and we have received no additional applications.
Sure.
Yes.
I don't have a question, but I guess for me, I am comfortable with moving forward with the agritourism promotion area. John and Robbie have been active members of the ag promotion area and would love to keep receiving their input, especially as conversations about the Bountiful Byway, their input is very important. And then I would propose moving forward the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, the municipal jurisdiction representatives, because those are, as well as the recommendations from the committee for the other representatives. And then moving forward with the Veterans Advisory Board recommendation as well.
Yeah, I'm in support of all that.
I am as well. Just take, I mean, these are easy in a sense, right? You have qualified people recommended by the committees, you don't have competing applicants. So these are the all kind of, so if there's no disagreement with that.
I have a quick question. You mentioned the email and can you just clarify, because I'm just now pulling up the email. When I was at the SWAC meeting, which just happened last week, I don't recall a conversation about the other representatives and who the appointment recommendation was. I could have missed it, so I can go back, but I don't see it in my notes, so I'm just wondering if there's any more information about that one vacancy for the other representatives.
For the residency? My understanding is that SWAC did review both applications received, Jane Appling and Patrick Stack, and recommends Jane Appling be appointed
How was that communicated to you?
via email. But I can touch base with staff and we can look at the.
No, but I'm just asking for clarity, because I think that's what Commissioner, do you have an email that says this is our recommendation?
Yes, from Public Works staff on behalf of SWAC.
Okay, so does that mean that, because there was the 3rd person on here, David Nightingale, would he still be on the committee or would he be removed if we were to appoint someone else?
David Nightingale is recommended to fill the business representative seat. The other 2 applicants were for the resident seat.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, I'm comfortable
Incorporated
then.
in your proposal, right?
Mhm.
Mr. Nightingale as well as Ms.
Okay.
Appling.
Yeah, because Mr. Nightingale has been serving on the committee for many years and.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, then I'm comfortable moving forward. Thank you for clarifying.
We're putting those on today or next week?
No, next week.
It's not today, it's next week. Okay, perfect.
And then I just wanna let the board know that I do have a District 1 vacancy for my planning commissioner seat, so I'll be recruiting for that.
And then I also want to let some folks know, I don't know if this is something that comes before us or not, but I just heads up, that the Lewis Mason Thurston area on area on aging. I had to say it like 60 times yesterday. But area agency on aging. There was 2 recent, people who stepped off that board. And so, I am working right now, and actually I've already, had 2 applications sent in. So I'm working to fill those from, our area. And they're gonna be young people are working on trying to get on there, so we can get all the different parts represented.
Would we work through the clerk to advertise that?
No, I think it's just through Lewis Mason Thurston.
I believe so. I don't believe
It's
those
not-
appointments come to the board.
They
for-
know.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure you knew in case like there was anybody that, yeah, that you wanted to like say, wait, someone asked me this year or something. Okay?
Commissioner Mejia, can I go back to your planning commission?
Yeah.
You, you lost, do you lose both years?
No, just one.
Who's left?
It's William. You lost Derek.
Who's Derek, yeah.
Yeah, who is the chair, and I don't know, can I say why I lost it?
I'm not sure yet. We
Okay,
wanna
okay,
check in.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. More to come. That brings us to commissioner items. Item 4.1, see how we're doing on time, is Thurston County Clerk recall.
Here, and Julie.
Julie on the screen.
Julie on the screen. She's the one that's been assigned this item, so we'll hand over to Julie. Can you hear us okay, Julie?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I was just gonna message Linda real quick, to let her know that we're hearing this in case she wanted to jump on. Not sure if she's available to join us, but, just wanted to give her the opportunity. This should be fairly simple. Arthur West filed a petition to recall Clerk Linda Enlow. He alleges that the clerk failed to perform statutory duties of a court clerk and that these failures equate to misfeasance or malfeasance or a violation of her oath of public office. The allegations are set forth in more detail in his petition, which you should have all received via email. But generally, he alleges that there was a failure to transmit a notice of a hearing in a matter to which he was a party and a failure to disperse funds pursuant to court order. Clerk Enlow informed me that she is requesting representation by the Office of Prosecuting Attorney, which is her right to request. The prosecuting attorney, John Thunheim, has confirmed that he would authorize representation by the prosecutor's office because the allegations are related to the performance of her official duties. Under RCW 4.96.041, the board must also agree to defend the clerk in this matter for the prosecutor's office to provide representation to her.
Can I ask a question, Julie?
Sure.
I don't know what the laws are about, what he's talking about, but there's a thing at the bottom of page 2 about dispersing funds to him, and it wasn't clear what he's talking about. Well, is that connected to this, or, because I know we had a couple other cases with him where there was a settlement, and I wasn't sure what he's talking about, 'cause why would he be getting funds out of a recall petition?
Yeah, the allegation, as I understand it, and to be clear, I haven't delved deep into this because I'm not officially representing the clerk on this matter until you all vote. But my understanding is that there's an order in a case that funds be paid, and he may have been one of the people that funds should be paid to, and he's demanding that that be done immediately.
Separate case.
Separate case, not involving anything related to Thurston County.
But he cites the cause number that's exactly the same as the recall one. So it didn't make any sense to me.
There's 2 separate issues as I understand it. One being an issue with notice of a hearing that he says he didn't get in the case, in the prior recall petition.
Oh,
was
I
last
see.
year.
And then he's got Navy Federal Credit Union, which is some different case that he.
That's a different issue. So he's got two bases he's raising.
Okay. Other questions for council? So we have to make this determination.
Right, we need an action preferably.
We have thumbs ups.
Do we, does it have to be a motion or just?
I would say yes.
Yeah, if possible.
Should
if
be a
it's-
motion.
Yeah, we
I
need a
would-
motion and a vote.
I would move to provide representation for Clerk Linda Enlow.
Second.
Second.
Okay, I've got a second from Commissioner Klaus. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I would just say that I support this because there's a clear nexus to her official duties and the allegations, so I think this is an appropriate thing to do.
Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Is that all you needed?
Anything else, Julie?
Oh, Clerk Enlow just joined us.
Thank you.
Clerk Enlow, did you catch that?
Yes, I did. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. I got a new computer and didn't have Zoom.
No, well, it was important that you heard the outcome, so I'm glad you were able to make it.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Remember, it's
Thank you.
10:45, not 9:45.
Yes. We have 16 minutes scheduled. But we're gonna need more than that. So let's go to item 2, which is a closed session pursuant to RCW 423140 subsection 2.
Can we take a break before?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay, then let's take
Sorry.
Just like a 2 minute?
10 minutes and we will recommence at 10:55 for item 4.2.
How you doing?
Okay, it is 10:55. We are back from a short recess and we're picking up with item 2 under Commissioner items, which is subsection 4. And so we're going straight into a closed session pursuant to RCW 4230-140 subsection 2, that portion of a meeting of a quasi-judicial body which relates to a quasi-judicial matter between named parties. This is an appeal of the hearing examiner's decision, Gustafson and Miller. We have 30 minutes allotted, so board action may follow. We will be going straight from that into well, will we come out of that? Do we need to come out, Travis?
Yeah, you have to
Yes,
come out.
yeah, we'll need to
Come
go.
out and then redo the notice for executive session. So we're gonna be here till 11:25. And then Brandy, are we free to speak?
Oh,
by 5 minutes, but we are finished with the closed session, which is item 4.2. And so there's no board action to follow. We have a hearing next week regarding this matter, and it'll proceed forward from there. So now we're up to the last item on the agenda, which is an executive session pursuant to RCW 4231-10-1I, litigation that has been specifically threatened to which the agency, governing body, or member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party. This issue specifically is employment liability versus Thurston County. 20 minutes is projected and board action may follow. So it's right now 11:32 and we'll come out at 11:52. Okay, it's 11:52. We're completed the executive session. No formal legislative action by the board is going to happen. So we're at the end of the agenda. Before I adjourn the meeting, just wanted to maybe touch base about the commissioner check-in that was scheduled at 11. We're now down to, a few minutes before noon. I'm gonna look to the county manager. Do you have a suggestion should we reschedule this, or is it important that we plow through the noon hour and get those items covered, or what's your suggestion?
The two items on the commissioner's check-in can be very quickly covered. If that's the will of the board, the reports on external boards and commissions might be able to be pushed to tomorrow.
Okay, so if we do that, Amy, do we have to close this meeting and start a new Zoom for the commissioner check-in or something? Or can we just go from?
I think if the commissioner's items are brought up in agenda setting, and we're so far over the time.
So take the two commissioner items and add, and basically there'll be commissioner items. All right, so let's just go. Then we're gonna cover items 1 and 2 under item 2, under the commissioner check-in agenda, which the first one's joint Thurston County Port of Olympia meet and greet.
Yep, we had outreach from the executive director of the port. Her commissioners would like to do a joint meeting with our commissioners. I thought it was a great idea, but I wanted to bring it forward to get direction. And if so, they were contemplating either lunch or dinner meeting with combined commissions.
I think that's great.
When?
We don't have a date yet.
TBD.
We would work with the collective schedules to get something planned.
Commissioner Klaus, good?
Yeah, that
Okay,
sounds great.
everyone's in agreement on
Great.
that.
Next one is, in the fall of 2024, we brought forward the ORV park discussion, and the commissioners gave us direction to continue to have conversations with Grays Harbor staff about what that concept could look like. And we've worked with the county manager for Grays Harbor, and they would like to get both commissions together to go over a joint presentation that has been put together. It's simply for conversation, to get input from both commissions, and I think it might be a good way not only to have collaboration with Grays Harbor, but to talk about this topic.
I think that's a great idea myself, just because number one, we've never done that with Grays Harbor. Number two, I have a lot of questions about this project, and it seems like if it's gonna work, we need to be coordinated. So that would be a good way to get that ball rolling from my perspective.
I think it's
Everybody's
great, yeah. And then Grace Harbor just has 2 brand new commissioners as well. And
Yeah.
I've met with one of them, and they're very excited about this and the possibilities, so I think it's great.
So we'll work together with staff then, seeing that there's a majority of the board to give direction on that, to get something scheduled, and we look forward to bringing that forward.
Okay, then
So there is a majority, right? So we all.
all 5 of us, yeah, unanimous on both of those topics. So that's the end of this morning's agenda. We'll have to do external boards at our next commissioner check-in. Thanks for everybody's time this morning. We're adjourned.